Look at a map of West Africa. See that? A tiny sliver of a country cutting right through the middle of Senegal, like someone drew a line with a ruler after a few drinks. That's Gambia. And yes, it's one of the weirdest borders on Earth. Gambia is basically a river with a country wrapped around it. It's about 300 miles long and barely 30 miles wide at its widest point. If you're standing in Senegal and you want to drive to a different part of Senegal, you might have to cross an entire other country to get there. So here's the thing, Gambia exists because the British wanted access to one specific river, the Gambia River, to be exact. Back in the 1600s and 1700s, European powers were scrambling to control trade routes in Africa. The British set up trading posts along this river because it was perfect for shipping goods inland and bringing enslaved people and resources back to the coast. Meanwhile, the French were busy claiming everything around it, and I mean everything. They controlled what would become Senegal, Mali, Mauritania, basically most of West Africa. But the British held on to that river, and neither side wanted to give up their peace. Here's where it gets ridiculous. In the 1880s, European powers sat down in Berlin, not in Africa, in Berlin, Germany, to literally draw lines on a map and divide up the continent. Africa wasn't really consulted. The British and French had to decide where British Gambia ended and French Senegal began. The solution? They measured out from the river. There are different stories about exactly how, but the most popular one says they used the range of a naval cannon. Basically, how far could you shoot from a ship on the Gambia River? That's your border. You might wonder, did anyone think this was a good idea? Well, the people living there certainly didn't get a vote. At the time, the Gambia River was valuable. It gave the British a trade route deep into the interior without dealing with French territories. Peanuts, believe it or not, became Gambia's big export. The British could ship them out, tax them, profit. For the French, Senegal was bigger, more diverse, more economically useful overall. Gambia was annoying, sure, but they had plenty of other colonies to worry about. For the people living there, families, ethnic groups, trade networks, all of them were split down the middle by a border that made zero sense to anyone actually living their lives in the region. Fast forward to the 1960s. African countries start gaining independence. Senegal becomes independent in 1960. Gambia follows in 1965. And suddenly this weird colonial border becomes a permanent international boundary. There were attempts to merge the two countries. In the 1980s, they even formed a confederation called Senegambia. It lasted 7 years and then collapsed. Gambia wanted to keep its independence. Senegal didn't want to absorb a country with a completely different colonial system, language influences, and political setup. So, what's it like now? Well, if you're Senegalese and you want to drive from the northern part of your country to the southern part, you have to cross Gambia. That means border checkpoints, passport controls, sometimes delays. It's like if every time you wanted to visit your cousin, you had to go through customs. For Gambia, being surrounded by one much larger country creates challenges. Economically, they're tiny. Politically, they're squeezed. And yet, they remain fiercely independent. There's a bridge now and a ferry, and the border crossings have gotten easier over the years. Both countries are part of regional organizations trying to promote free movement and trade. But that strange, skinny border is still there. Gambia exists because of a river, a colonial trade-off, and a bunch of European men in suits who never had to live with the consequences of their decisions. It's a reminder that so many of the borders we take for granted today weren't drawn by the people who live inside them. They were drawn for trade routes, for military strategy, for imperial convenience. And Gambia? It's still here. Sometimes the most pointless borders are the ones that stick around the longest. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe, it really helps the channel. See you in the next one.